Royal Lifesaving Australia is reminding swimmers to be cautious in the water this summer. It comes after a man drowned while attempting to rescue a child on the New South Wales south coast. Rhiannon Elston spoke to the General Manager of Royal Lifesaving, Craig Roberts, earlier today and started off by asking how many incidents have occurred so far this year.
Unfortunately, as of January 1, we've seen 22 drowning deaths in our waterways nationally, and across New South Wales, ACT and Tas. We've seen 10 drowning deaths.
And what are some of the reasons people are getting into trouble? Are there any common factors here?
Yeah, look, it is very early to tell in terms of some of these numbers and statistics in terms of as we investigate there, remembering that these are people and lives that have tragically been lost. But certainly we do know our inland waterways are a significant factor, and they have been for some time. Over 55% of all our drowning deaths are in inland waterways, and it's quite often those areas in which you can't see underneath the water, snags, tree branches, and those different areas underneath the water that may be moving from upstream or downstream that are causing trouble.
We've had so much flooding through inland New South Wales in particular this year. Are we seeing changed conditions, and in what way have some of those waterways changed as a result of all of that flooding?
Yeah, that's one of the tricky conditions with our inland waterways, especially our rivers and creeks, which are flowing fairly regularly. They do change regardless of floodwaters on a daily and a weekly basis. The flooding that we've seen across regional New South Wales and other parts of the state have really changed the conditions, and we're seeing some of those effects 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later as well. So it's really important that the community does make sure that they check the conditions before they enter the water.
What are some of your recommendations to Australians and anyone heading out in the water this summer?
Yeah, Royal Lifesaving has been running a campaign for some time now over the summer period, really making sure that there's 4 simple tips to keep each other safe. And that's about knowing your limits and avoid taking those unnecessary risks in and around the water. Check the conditions, as I said earlier on, before you head out. Check the bomb map, but also check the conditions in the water before you go in. Wear a life jacket when on the water. We've seen a large number of boating and kayaking incidences over the summer period as well. So please wear a life jacket at all times and supervise your children in and around the water. It's really important that not just the backyard pool, but in our open waterways, our beaches and our inland waterways, that we keep those children safe.
I want to ask you about bystanders as well. Some of these incidents have happened in unpatrolled areas. Do you have any advice for those who may be witnessing someone getting into strife? What do you suggest they could do?
Yeah, look, first of all, it's really important that you do actually go swimming with someone. We see, unfortunately, too many instances where people are in isolated areas or by themselves and can't afford that assistance. But if there is a bystander in the area, unfortunately, we don't want to get the persons to jump in the water. There are a number of rescue methods that you can do by reaching out, throwing something into the water that will float. If you've got a rope or a stick or anything like that, that may be of assistance to the individuals. But we don't want to put that individual into the water, and unfortunately, we may have a second drowning death, unless the capability is there where you are a trained lifesaver or lifeguard or rescue personnel as well.
Are there things that families can do in terms of prevention of getting into strife on the water?
Yeah, those 4 safety tips are really some key things that individuals and families can do. Knowing your limits is really about your physical capabilities, but it's also about reducing alcohol or drug consumption in, on and around the water as well, especially over this summer period. Checking the conditions, making sure you know what the conditions are, where the water is flowing, what they're doing. Look at the safety signs, if there's any safety signs in and around that particular location. And if there are lifesavers or lifeguards in the area, please ask them for some advice as well. And those little things about wearing a life jacket, supervising your kids, never going alone, are all key messages that families should do at all times.